7.1 Handling and storage of materials and hazardous chemicals. A. Classification of materials. Material can be divided into different categories, and each category requires to be handled according to its inherent characteristics. The different categories of materials are 1. Explosive materials. 2. Dangerous substances. 3. Safe materials. 1. Explosive materials. These materials are classified as dangerous substances and require specialized knowledge related to loading, transporting, unloading, handling, storage and its usage. 2. Dangerous substances. These materials include hazardous substances, which may be flammable, corrosive or toxic in nature. These materials are supplied with complete details available in Material Safety Data Sheet, MSDS. Each consignment, package or containers carrying such materials must enclose MSDS, which shall have following information about the hazardous substance. I. Product identification. 2. Hazardous ingredients and its DLV. 3. Physical and chemical properties. 4. Fire and explosion hazard. V. Health hazard and emergency treatment. Vi. Reactivity data and neutralizing procedure. 7. Spillage hazard and containment procedure. 8. Safety precaution and emergency procedure. 9. First aid and medical treatment. X. Any special instruction. The container, package or drum containing such materials shall be clearly marked and labeled depicting following essential information conforming to UN classification of hazardous material. A. Name of the substance, trade and chemical name. B. Dangerous concentration. C. Safety precautions. D. Relevant hazard symbol. E. Health hazard and emergency treatment. F. Fire and explosion hazard. G. Date of expiry. H. The name and address of manufacturer or supplier. The standard safety symbol or alert sign must cover at least 1/10 surface area of the label and have a minimum area of 1 square centimeter. Refer Appendix 4 for industrial safety signs. Examples of materials, which come within these categories, are A. Flammable. These include low-flash materials such as aviation spirit, gasoline, methylated spirit, volatile solvents, paints, varnishes and compressed gases such as acetylene, propane and butane. B. Corrosive. These include acids, alkalis and corrosion inhibitors used in the plant and laboratories. C. Toxic. These include chlorine, ammonia, H2S, various inhibitors, demulsifiers and other toxic substances used in plant and laboratories. Plastic and foam materials exposed to fire may emit toxic vapors. In case of leakage from a container having toxic material, the work in the affected area shall be immediately stopped and the concerned supervisor as well as the area fire station will be immediately notified. The supervisor shall take remedial action in consultation with the area HSE team. L. The work will not be resumed until the area is declared safe after proper atmospheric monitoring. The required personal protective equipment will be used while monitoring, investigating or fixing the source of toxic release. 3. Safe materials. These include materials such as foodstuffs, non-flammable items and equipment, which do not pose a fire or toxic hazard. However, it may still cause injury to personnel if handled incorrectly. B. Cold stores. Cold stores used for the preservation of food, ice, and other perishable materials should be thoroughly searched for the presence of any human being inside prior to locking it from outside. A caution notice in this regard must be prominently posted on each side of cold storage doors. If the cold storage doors cannot be opened from the inside, a suitable warning device, operable from inside as well as a safety bell must be installed to alert in case of accidental entrapment. C. Materials handling. Many accidents are caused in the course of material handling. The safety aspects during the material handling operations such as loading, unloading, transportation, stacking and stores arrangement, must be duly considered. It is the responsibility of supervisors to ensure that personnel engaged in material handling and lifting operations have been adequately trained for the job. The material must be inspected for abnormalities such as jagged edges, burrs, rough or slippery surfaces prior to initiate handling. The materials, which are greasy, wet, slippery or dirty, shall be wiped dry before handling. The workers must have adequate training in safety aspects of slinging, lifting and carrying of load including bulk handling of materials. The material must be stacked and handled taking all safety precautions. The required personal protective equipment such as hand gloves, safety boots, helmet and coverall must be worn while handling the materials. The mechanical devices such as hand guards, dollies, wheelbarrows and forklift should be used for bulk handling of materials. The workers must take necessary precaution while removing steel straps or wires from a packaged material. The site supervisor or the foreman should have sound judgment about the size and weight of the material for safe handling with appropriate appliance. While using lifting appliance, the workers must not stand directly under a suspended load and must keep away from wires or ropes under strain. The workers must be conversant with the safety in lifting and rigging operation as well as have familiarity with the banksman signals for such operations. The necessary care shall be taken while handling containers, which carry fragile items such as glassware or crockery etc. 1. Mechanical handling. The appropriate lifting devices shall be utilized for heavy items and bulk handling of materials. The drums shall be stacked on a pallet and similarly loose items should be secured inside a container before lifting or shifting with mechanical device. The materials inside a fragile container shall be protected with a substantially strong outer covering. Extreme precaution shall be applied while handling hazardous, explosive, toxic or flammable materials. The materials should always be stacked considering accessibility, critical requirement and other stock management criteria. The aisles in the storage area should be wide enough to permit safe access and maneuvering of mechanical handling devices. The ramps shall be utilized to transport materials over obstacles that cannot be removed. The weight shall be verified prior to lifting the materials. The ground realities such as any spillage, prevalent danger or obstruction in the material handling area should be properly assessed. The load must be properly secured prior to raising or lowering it to prevent any accidental fall. The practical measures must also be taken to prevent a load coming into direct contact with other objects. The items must not be stacked loose on a platform, grating or pallet being hoisted. The load shall not be left suspended or remain unattended in the absence of lifting appliance supervisor. 2. Manual handling. The materials shall be stored on elevated shelves through appropriate use of ladders, stools or a lifting device as safe and convenient in the situation. The objects having sharp edges, pointed needles or barbed wires shall be stacked safely keeping sharp edges or needles facing towards inner side of the rack. A proper support and side restraint shall be provided between the rows for stacking drums, pipes, cartons and boxes etc. The objects susceptible to roll down or slip must be secured preferably through chalk hitch. Some of the materials are packed inside a bag and such bags should be cross-tied with opening interlocked towards the inner pile. The containers such as bins shall be securely anchored to prevent overturning. 3. Chemicals handling. The risk associated with the handling of chemicals must be thoroughly assessed by the chemist and occupational hygienist and accordingly protective measures are applied against the potential hazard. The Material Safety Data Sheet, MSDS, for each chemical must be available at worksite. The information on properties of chemicals, its harmful effects, associated hazards, recommended personal protective equipments and first aid instruction are included in MSDS. Refer to Chapter 4 for first aid information. The workers involved in handling of such harmful chemicals must use the required protective equipment and shall be trained in first aid procedures against the accidental exposure. D. Storage of hazardous chemicals and compressed gases. The chemical should always be stored separately away from other materials, and access to chemical storage must be limited to authorized persons only. The manufacturer's instructions and MSDS must be followed for storage of chemicals. The following safety requirement must be observed. 1. Labeling. All containers, carboys, jerrycans, bottles containing chemicals must be clearly and distinctively labeled, detailing product identity, associated hazard, statutory warning, manufacturer's name and date of expiry, etc. 2. Overhead storage facility. The glass containers carrying hazardous chemicals shall not be stored on elevated shelves or platform, rather such containers should be stored on a non-reactive skid at floor level for easier access and retrieval. 3. Interreacting chemicals. Such chemicals must not be stored near each other inside the storage area and/or laboratory shelves. It is not safe to store acids near alkalis. 4. Compressed gas cylinders. The compressed gas cylinders shall be kept securely stacked inside the purpose-built rack in upright position to prevent accidental fall. These cylinders must be kept away from heat or open flame. The protective cap should always be kept in place while transporting the cylinders. The cylinder should be transported through suitable trolley, and under no circumstances a cylinder shall be dragged. E. Flammable and toxic chemicals. Such chemicals shall be stored inside a well-ventilated room or fume hood, far away from any source of ignition. Moreover, such chemicals should be stored at floor level in comparatively cold place without exposure to direct sunlight. An extraction duct closer to floor level must be provided in the store, where flammable vapors heavier than air might be released from such chemicals. A minimum quantity of such chemicals should be kept inside the laboratory. The containers for such chemicals must be examined for any physical damage prior to storage. It is not at all advisable to keep the containers 100% filled with such chemicals, rather at least 5% by volume should be empty considering thermal expansion. F. Hazardous chemicals utilization in operation, process plant. The workers handling hazardous chemicals in operational area or process plant must be aware with risks involved and its protection measure. The pipelines carrying hazardous or corrosive chemicals should be suitably protected from any probable damage due to traffic accident. The drip tray should be placed to contain small leakage. The chemicals collected in drip tray shall be neutralized or otherwise made safe before discharging into plant drainage system. A warning notice shall be posted at prominent location in the chemical handling to alert the personnel thereof. G. Disposal pits or open roof tank. The disposal pit or open roof tank containing harmful chemicals must be protected with fence of at least 3 feet height to prevent unauthorized entry, or accidental splash. The gangways attached to such pits or tanks must have handrails and tow board as further protection. H. First aid provision. The emergency shower and eye wash station must be provided in chemical handling area. The persons working in that area must be familiar with operation and utility of this emergency facility. Refer to Chapter 4 for first aid information. In case of chemical contamination, the affected part of the body, for example eyes, face, must be thoroughly flushed with clean water, and eyes should be washed with eye wash solution. The medical assistance should be obtained as necessary. Any exposure to toxic chemicals through inhalation, skin absorption or ingestion shall require immediate medical attention and specialized medical treatment at hospital.
Please give comment and suggestions.
Thank you.
Subscribe our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for more updates. Thank for visit our channel. See you next class.
Thank you.
Hey there. Subscribe to my channel. And also press this bell icon, so you never miss any new updates, cause whenever we upload new video you will get a notification on your phone.